Uh, Good evening and welcome to our last school board meeting of the calendar year. That being said, I would like to call to order our regular monthly meeting of the Newport News School Board for Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. On behalf of the members of the school board and our superintendent, a quorum is present. A quorum is present to conduct the business of the school division. We will begin tonight's meeting with the invocation pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors are two students from Woodside High School, Mackenzie Lecrae and Shayla Hankerson. First, Mackenzie will come forward and provide the invocation. She will be followed by Shayla, who will lead us in the pledge. So, Mackenzie, would you please come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started?
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Lecrae. I'm a senior at Woodside High School, and I'm in the Creative Writing Magnet. And today I'm here to read you a poem. It's called Grateful. A journey, no matter how brief or how simple, has the ability to change someone. Learning valuable lessons, finding new faces, finding one's place, passion, personality, answering questions never asked. Some journeys may seem pointless, wasteful, but mine has been eye-opening, revolutionary, and absolutely essential to who I have become. 4 years, countless conversations, days of laughing, weeks of crying, friendships found, then lost, then found again. I wouldn't go back, because I've learned all that I can, and I can't wait to move forward. But these 4 years, they made me who I am, and I am grateful.
Well, thank you. Wonderful. And now, Miss Mackenzie, will you come forward? No, Shayla. and Miss McCoy, I messed up your name, didn't I? I'm sorry. See, I did correct myself. And so, Shayla, how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Shayla, and I'm in the Dance Magnet at Woodside High School, and I'm a junior.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
Oh, very good.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, how about giving both of these young ladies another round of applause? We will thank you for participating in tonight's meeting. You both did a wonderful job. Supporting Mackenzie and Shayla tonight are their family members and members of their family school. If they're present, please stand and be recognized. The board appreciates the encouragement you have given to these two students, and we thank you again for supporting them here and being here tonight. So thank you and have a wonderful holiday season. We will move the agenda, and next we'll have, I believe, board recognitions. Do we have any?
Yes, sir. We have several recognitions this evening. Okay. Do you want us to come down? Yes, ma'am.
We have the honor of presenting this month's school board recognitions. School social work is a specialty area of the social work profession that connects home, school, and the community. School social workers use a holistic approach to focus on the student's environment and resiliency and provide supports for students and families to promote school success. Each year, the Virginia Association of School Social Workers selects one of its own as the State School Social Worker of the Year. The award recognizes social workers who have enhanced the social, emotional, and academic growth of students. This evening, we are proud to share that Newport News Public Schools is home to the 2018 Virginia School Social Worker of the Year, Ms. Donna Thornton. Ms. Thornton, would you please come forward? Ms. Thornton has spent her 28-year professional career as a school social worker with Newport News Public Schools, serving students in preschool, elementary, and middle schools. She addresses a variety of issues that might have an impact on a student's ability to learn, including social and emotional stressors, truancy, family challenges, substance abuse, and mental health issues and crisis intervention. Ms. Thornton's supervisor noted that she is a servant at heart, and she's dedicated to reaching and helping as many children and families as she can. Ms. Thornton is also an active member of the Virginia Association of School Social Workers, where she's twice served as the Tidewater Chair and as state president. She currently serves as the secretary of the Tidewater region. Ms. Thornton and her colleagues are vital to families navigating the educational system and accessing community resources for families. Congratulations. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Thornton's family that have joined her this evening. Would her husband and her daughters please stand and be recognized? I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Michelle Mitchell, our Executive Director of Student Advancement, and Richard Durmeyer, our Supervisor of Student Advancement as well. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Thornton was recognized last month at the State Teachers of the Year Awards banquet. So again, we congratulate you on this well-deserved honor. Newport News Public Schools Apprenticeship Program is a professional development and state certification program that combines on-the-job and classroom training. During the 2-year process, apprentices gain a deeper understanding of their department's operations and how their work fits into the division's strategic plan and supports our students. The program is the only one in Virginia administered by a school division through the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry's Apprenticeship Office. The customized courses enhance the apprentices' skills and talents. The school division has 4 occupational areas in the apprenticeship program: child nutrition services, custodial services, transportation, and clerical support. Tonight, we're honoring our graduating classes in child nutrition services and custodial services. Our graduates will receive a certificate of completion of apprenticeship from the State Council. Please join me in congratulating our child nutrition services apprenticeship graduates. Martilo Foots, or Foots. And Jacqueline McIntyre. And also completing the program are Pamela Jenkins, Carolyn Turner, and Glenda West. And they were unable to join us this evening. We're also honoring our custodial apprenticeship graduates. Please join us in recognizing Toriano Etheridge. You might not be able to make it, okay. Angela Goodwin. Marvin Hunter. Pamela Lucas. And Jermaine McFadder. And Spencer Hicks was unable to join us, but he has also earned his apprenticeship.
It shows happiness. She should be a model.
I know she should. She's not tall enough though.
She don't gotta be. She don't have to be a runway model. So I got a model too.
She's beautiful.
The dedicated employees that came forward successfully completed a rigorous sequence of program requirements to earn a professional certification issued by the state. During the 2-year program, they completed 4,000 hours of coursework and on-the-job training in customer service, effective communications, English, math, workplace technology, and leadership skills. The Child Nutrition Services graduates also sharpened their skills in food preparation, safe serving, food allergy management, business management, and nutrition. They finished and they've earned the title of Child Nutrition Technician 2. And the Custodial Services apprentices honed their skills in green cleaning, the chemistry of cleaning, electrical and equipment safety, cleaning compounds and surfaces, and equipment. And they too have finished and earned the title of Custodial Technician 2. We'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge their supporters. Some of them have family members joining them this evening. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge Debbie Richardson, our Coordinator of Training and Development, Stephanie Hotz, our Director in Human Resources, Kathy Alexander, our Executive Director of Child Nutrition Services, and Marcella Bullock, Supervisor of Custodial Services. Would you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you. And before we get to our break, I'd like to recognize Dr. Michael Thornton, who is the Superintendent of Surrey County Public Schools, who's joining us tonight. I identified him as our honoree's husband, but we certainly would like to acknowledge that you are the superintendent of the great county. That concludes tonight's recognitions. We would like to take a 7-minute break so that our honorees and their guests may leave if they choose to do so. You're welcome to stay with us. During this time, our viewing audience will have the opportunity to view this month's School Board Spotlight. So we'll stand in recess for about 7 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Students at Riverside Elementary are learning that some of life's most important lessons aren't taught through a curriculum. Ingrained in everything Riverside does is the lesson of kindness. From morning greetings to reaching out to others, the Riverside Bears roar with kindness, which stands for Realize Our Actions Ripple. Each day starts with a personal greeting and handshake from staff members. Many students have morning responsibilities, placing them in a unique position to lead their peers through action. Recycling, collecting donations around the kindness tree, or selling kindness grams are just a few ways that students contribute to the positive atmosphere. During the morning show, members of the Peacekeepers Club share friendly tips for all students to put into practice. Throughout the day, students can earn a golden ticket to reward their acts of kindness. The office staff celebrates their good choices, and Principal Jackie Barber sends a postcard home to brag to parents. Hundreds of golden tickets decorate the hallways from this school year. But it's not always about the reward, as students go out of their way when no one is looking to offer a word of encouragement or assist a classmate because it's simply the right thing to do. During the school year, classroom activities and school-wide participation in clubs allow students to spread their kindness beyond the school. Every month, students donate to a number of local charities, assist hurricane relief efforts, collect plastic bags for recycling, or create their own works of art to make someone else's day a little brighter. These are just a few of the ways the Riverside Bears are spreading kindness through compassion and service every day. Because at Riverside, kindness isn't what they do, it's about becoming who they are. When students reach high school, their college and career ambitions come into focus. This is when their childhood dreams take shape to become a reality. Newport News Public Schools prepares high school students for this very moment by providing the option of attending magnet and specialty programs with an emphasis in areas such as aviation, performing arts, global studies, and STEM. At 4 different Newport News high schools, 6 programs offer students a specialized focus to help them pursue their dreams. Every student, no matter where they live in Newport News, is eligible to attend whichever magnet or specialty program that interests them. Even though the unique focus varies significantly at each site, the classes are built around the same core curriculum in all disciplines and meet all Virginia standards of learning. Transportation, at no additional cost to families, is provided to and from each site every day. Here are the magnet and specialty programs available to high school students in Newport News. Futures soar high at Denby High School's Aviation Academy, a nationally recognized STEM site. Located at the Newport News Williamsburg International Airport, aviation students have access to cutting-edge maintenance tools, state-of-the-art flight simulators, advanced engineering techniques, and a knowledgeable and experienced staff to guide their ambitions. 2 magnet programs can be found at Heritage High School. The Governor's STEM Academy offers students the option to attend one of the country's top science, technology, engineering, and math-centric schools. STEM Academy students explore their future careers through 3 pathways: engineering and robotics, networking and cybersecurity, or computer science and game design. While benefiting from specialized, project-based courses, students develop critical thinking, problem solving, and team building skills that prepare them for the 21st century world. Heritage also hosts a university magnet program, offering motivated students an enriched, highly structured, and rigorous education to prepare them for admission to colleges, universities, and the workforce. University magnet students can experience a high level of academic achievement while becoming responsible, lifelong learners. Warwick High School is also home to 2 magnet and specialty programs. The Governor's Health Sciences Academy combines academic coursework with clinical experiences to prepare students for a range of high-demand careers in the health industry. Hands-on labs, workplace observations, and a student-run clinic will advance student skills and career proficiency. Warwick Center for the International Baccalaureate is a rigorous pre-college program designed to prepare students for college and careers through an international-based curriculum. 9th and 10th grade students participate in the International Baccalaureate Pre-Diploma program to prepare them for the IB Diploma program as upperclassmen. Advanced courses and a challenging liberal arts curriculum prepare scholars for a wide world of possibilities. And the Center for the Arts and Communication is found at Woodside High School, giving students an opportunity to showcase their creativity through an intensive study in the visual and performing arts as part of a full and well-balanced academic program. Fields of study include communications, creative writing, dance, vocal and instrumental music, theater, and visual arts. Student interests and needs, along with teacher input, can help families decide which magnet or specialty program is best for them. Applications are available online at all Newport News Public Schools and at the NMPS Administration Building on Warwick Boulevard. Applications are typically due in early January. Acceptance is based on a randomized lottery system, with all applicants receiving written notification in late February. Through magnet and specialty programs in Newport News Public Schools, high school students can take the courses that most interest them as they prepare for a future of academic, career, and social successes.
Welcome back, and hope you enjoyed the School Board Spotlight. During our meeting, we provide time for the public to address the board. These are scheduled at the early part of the agenda and also toward the end of the meeting. The board is very interested in the ideals and opinions of the public and wishes to give the public an opportunity for their input on the operations and policies of the school division. However, this is an opportunity for the board to listen to your comments, and as such, the board will not engage in dialogue with the speaker or audience. Speakers with specific questions will refer to the superintendent or the appropriate office. So that everyone who desires to address the board may have time to speak, we ask that you comply with our 3-minute rule. When you begin, a green light comes on. When you have 30 seconds remaining, a yellow light signals. And then when the red light signals and you hear beep, we ask that you would complete and end your comments. We thank you, and as you hear your name, please come forward. And today we do have some cards. And first we have up is Al Trosper. Is that correct? Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My thing is Veterans Day. As a retired Navy enlisted man, every place I ever worked until Newport News Public Schools, we were given Veterans Day, or the Monday following Veterans Day that President Johnson enacted in law, and we were given that day off for families to have a 3-day weekend. They want to do something, you know, and I just think it's wrong that Newport News does not support that, even though the state of Virginia does. You can't go banking unless you got a card. You can't call the governor. He's supporting vets. You can't call your congressman. You can't call a senator. You can't even call the president. They're out playing golf because it's a holiday. That's all I have. I had an hour's speech, but took us 3 minutes.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Caroline Stripe, how are you doing this evening?
Fine, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. Good evening, Chairman Hunter and members of the board, Dr. Parker. I'm here tonight to again speak on behalf of gifted education in general and specifically the gifted students of Newport News. Admittedly, there are inherent problems in differentiation instruction. It can fail to serve diverse student populations. It tends to place impossible demands on teachers in heterogeneous classrooms. And inevitably, gifted students' needs are often treated as a lower priority. Differentiation may have been developed with the best of intentions as a way to meet the individual needs of students, but it seems to have become code for the elimination of ability grouping. Differentiation is presented to stakeholders such as yourselves as proof that heterogeneous classrooms work, administrators and politicians want to proclaim that their classrooms are diverse and inclusive and that every child's educational needs are being met. But for the teachers who are being asked to customize, tailor, and individualize the education for a typical mixed ability classroom, this is quite simply a recipe for burnout, frustration, and resentment as our leadership continues to expect us to be doing more and better with less. By either dismantling or watering down the programs that we used to offer for the students on the edges of learning, such as classes for gifted, kids who struggle, and for whose behaviors are disruptive to the learning environment, we have unfortunately sacrificed the learning of virtually every student. Differentiation advocates often claim that ability grouping is unfair because it may penalize special education students. They often highlight research suggesting that minority and low-income students are frequently overlooked for gifted identification and are underrepresented in gifted programs. And this would be accurate, but this should not support diminishing gifted programs, but rather only inspire us, Newport News, to lead the way in developing innovative and equitable identification and program models. And I would highly suggest the book, Removing the Mask, Giftedness and Poverty by Paul Slocum, and we know her and love her, Ruby Payne. Under past leadership, initiatives were started in Newport News to shift from fewer gifted sites to a more community model to keep students, and I believe their scores, in homeschools. To fill these additional classrooms, qualification requirements were lowered to a point that they can hardly be considered gifted or even high achieving. And still at these sites, there are not even enough qualifiers to fill a classroom. This left the option for principal placements with no set criteria. The sudden program growth has also left many of our gifted classrooms being taught by teachers who are not endorsed in gifted education. The result, in my opinion, is that many gifted students are not receiving the program that we promise and that they so desperately need and deserve. We are leaving some of our city's best and brightest behind, ignored, and in my opinion, perhaps even more tragic, undiscovered. So it is my hope as the district continues with the revision process of our local gifted plan that you as the board and the superintendent will continue to clarify the facts and truths around identification practices, paradigms, and program designs so that together you may best meet the specific needs of our gifted students in our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next we'll have Ms. Pam Hall.
School Board and Dr. Parker, I would just like to say thank you for your support of Huntington Middle School, and hopefully we'll start the process next year to rebuild.
Thank you. Do we have any more cards? Okay. There being none, we will move on with the agenda to our consent agenda. Item 3.01, minutes from our special meeting, October 24th, 2018. 3.02, minutes, work session, November 13th, 2018. 3.03, minutes from our special meeting, November 13th, 2018. 3.04, minutes from our regular session, November 13th, 2018. 3.05, the minutes, special meeting, November 20th, 2018. 3.06, the financial report, Child Nutrition Services, November 2018. Revenue and expense, November 2018. And at last, we have 3.07, personnel report. If I could get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
You heard the motion and you heard the second. A time for the question. There being none, Ms. Hinton, would you call the roll, please?
Simons.
4.
Ms. Searles-Law.
4.
Dr. Best.
4.
Mr. Brown.
4.
Mr. Ely.
4.
Mr. Harris.
4.
And Mr. Hunter.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. We will advance this agenda to our action items. Item number 4.01. And here we will, in front of you, have your proposed fiscal year 19 legislative programs that we heard in detail at our last meeting. You had the opportunity to review. If there are any questions, can we get a motion for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Second.
You heard the motion and you heard the second. A time for the question. There being none, would you call the close, please?
Ms. Simons?
4.
Mrs. Searles-Law?
4.
Dr. Best?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
And Mr. Hunter?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4.02, our new course proposal for fiscal year 2019-2020. Again, we heard a detailed report at our last meeting. If there's no questions, could we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
You heard the motion and you heard the second. Time for the question. There being none, Ms. Hinton, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
4.
Mrs. Searles-Law?
4.
Dr. Best?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Ely?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
And Mr. Hunter?
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Very good. Continuing with the agenda in front of you, item number 5, reports and information. First, we'll have up 5.01, new and revised policies and procedures. And we'll have Ms. Brooks to guide us along with this.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to share with you highlights from 8 new and revised policies and procedures. As you know, one of the major roles of the school board is to set the policy direction for the school division, and we're very fortunate to have 2 board members serving on the committee each year. This year is Mrs. Searles-Law and Mr. Ely, who help provide tremendous input and guidance throughout the policy review process. In addition, serving on the committee, we have a principal from each level. We have an academic services administrator, a teacher representative, our legal counsel, and then myself as a policy administrator. As part of the policy review process, the department leads or our senior staff members present their new or revised policy and some procedures to the committee. And then after our discussion and review, we hold a public comment period, and then we include that input that we received during that period in the drafts that are before you this evening. I've included this slide of the strategic plan because, as you know, school board policies provide the foundation for all of the work that is done in the school division, starting with our academic agenda that forms the core of our work, surrounded by the 5 strategic supports, all working together to prepare our students to be college, career, and citizen ready when they graduate. Now, you may recall this graphic that I shared with you at your retreat earlier this year, which shows that our policy review follows a process that includes input from several entities: our senior staff, our senior leadership, our other administrators, our attorneys, our employees, as well as our advisory group members. And through this process, we form the superintendent's recommendation that I will be sharing with you this evening, which is actually step 8 of the process. We started our work this school year, our policy work, by focusing on the new and revised policy requirements that resulted from the General Assembly actions this past spring. So this evening I will be reviewing 5 new policies and procedures that are required by state regulations, and they address the prohibition of abusive work environments, the admission of children of persons on active military duty, the appointment and term of the superintendent, a procedure on employment, and then lastly, the instructional school year and school day. Now, to meet new state requirements, we are also recommending changes to another policy that will affect our military families called the Assignment of Students to School. To meet new federal requirements, we are revising our meal charges policy, which addresses unpaid balances on students' meal accounts. And lastly, we are proposing changes to the procedure on conflicts of interest for school board members to align it with the state code. Our first new policy this evening prohibits abusive work environments. It provides appropriate discipline of any employee who contributes to such environments, and it also prohibits retaliations for employees who allege an abusive work environment or who assist in the investigation of an allegation. The new policy also states that anyone who knowingly makes a false allegation will be subject to disciplinary action. The new procedure for implementing the policy provides examples of abusive conduct, and it also provides guidelines for reporting abusive conduct to the building administrator, to the department head, or to human resources so that an investigation can be conducted. Our second policy that's required by the state code affects our military-connected families. It prohibits the school division from charging a student tuition if his or her parents receive orders to relocate to a new duty station or to be deployed while their child remains in Newport News with another family. The policy also prohibits the school division from charging a student tuition whose parents have relocation orders to Newport News but have not yet established residency. So this would allow a student, for an example, to start the school year in September, even though their parents have not officially relocated to Newport News. But once the student enrolls in Newport News, parents have 120 days from the date of enrollment to show proof of permanent residency. Our next new policy reflects state requirements that allow school divisions 180 days to appoint a superintendent when a vacancy occurs, and it also includes a new provision. It allows an additional 180 days to appoint a superintendent if needed. So that is a new provision for this year. Next, we have a new procedure on employment, which prohibits a school division employee from recommending an individual or a contractor for a job in the school division who the employee knows has engaged in sexual misconduct with a minor. However, if the individual or contractor may be recommended for a job if he or she was acquitted, and this is in alignment with the state code. Our last new policy supports the current state requirement for the length of the instructional school year, which, as you know, is a minimum of 180 days or 990 instructional hours. And here in Newport News, we base our calendar, or we begin to build our calendar on 181 days, which includes one inclement weather day, which helps us to bank additional hours to meet that instructional requirement. And we actually bank over 1,000 hours, about 1,020 hours, which really assist us during inclement weather days and in terms of makeup time. Now, the new legislation also allows us to count elementary recess period as instructional time, which we were not allowed to do before. However, it must be used to develop teamwork, to develop social skills, and overall physical fitness, as long as it does not exceed 15% of the instructional period for elementary students. And lastly, the policy includes the new state requirement that we provide students a minimum of 680 instructional hours in English, math, science, and social science at the elementary school level. And now I'd like to share what are just changes to our current policies that we are recommending, and it's to 3 policies and procedures to help us meet new state and federal requirements. Now, earlier I mentioned policies that affect our military-connected families, and the second one is a change to our policy on the assignments of students to school, which will allow any student who resides on a military base or in military housing within the city to enroll in any school in the division if space allows. Since the state allows each school division to determine the process for reviewing these requests, we will be using our current guidelines for out-of-zone placements for reviewing each student's applications and for making a decision. Our last change this evening, and I believe I've missed one, collection, and I apologize, of meal charges.
Yes.
And I'm sorry. Our procedure, our policy on the collection of money and meal charges. You may recall that last spring we made changes to this policy to align it with federal requirements. The state is now taking it a step further, and those were requirements for students who had meal debt. They were either reduced price or full price meal students who had accumulated meal debt, and there were requirements around the collection of that debt. The state is taking it a step farther, and they are now prohibiting school divisions students who cannot pay for a meal or have meal debt to be required to do chores to work off that debt, to wear a hand stamp or a wristband. That's a state requirement. And it also requires that any communication regarding meal debt be directed to parents and not to students. So that's not something that we do in Newport News. Our last change this evening is to our conflicts of interest procedure, and this revision allows the school board to employ and the superintendent to recommend any family member of a school board member for a job if the board member certifies that he or she had no involvement with the decision to hire the family member, and if the superintendent certifies that the hiring decision is based on merit. So in terms of next steps, the new and revised policies will come before you for approval at your January 15th school board meeting. And once approved, we will post the new and revised policies and procedures on our website. We will send the information to our schools and to public libraries. So this concludes my report for the evening. I appreciate the opportunity to share this information with you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Oh, Ms. Simons.
So how are we going to handle with the assignment of students to schools? The highly sought after magnet programs like Booker T and Hilton with the military families?
It will be handled as an out of placement or out of zone transfer, but it would be handled after the magnet process. So they would not be included as a part of the magnet process.
But does that mean that they
could
space
apply,
available?
Oh, they could apply for the magnet, but to be considered for an out-of-zone transfer, it would not be a part of the magnet process.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other questions?
Just a clarification, and Brian, Mr. Nichols, if you need to chime in, if a student is an IB student in a military family and they transfer into our division, we currently accommodate those requests now for kids who are coming to us from a program that parallels a program that we currently offer. So that's something that's already in place. But if they're just requesting something and they're not coming from a program that's similar to what we have, then it would have to be space availability under this new policy.
Right.
So we would still need to be able to accommodate the student by numbers.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're already in the school division, but they have a different choice, want to make a different choice.
Okay.
Of school.
Any other questions? There being none, Ms. Brooks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll continue on with our reports. We'll have our 5.02, our annual plan for education of the gifted. So Dr. Burkett Knight, please come forward. And you have your water today.
I have my water this time. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you this evening about the Gifted Services Program and the proposed 2019-2024 local plan for the gifted. So tonight's presentation will provide to you an overview of the regulations governing the educational services for gifted students, as well as the local plan for the gifted. I'll share with you again our mission and vision of the current Gifted Services Program, characteristics of gifted learners, of the academic program, as well as some characteristics that we're noticing in our students that we are not currently serving, which is providing a framework for where we want to go. Our methodology for developing our local plan for the gifted, our current program model, and where we want to go for 2019 to 2024, our referral and testing processes, our goals for the local plan for the gifted, and our next steps. The regulations governing the educational services for gifted students is our framework set forth by the Virginia Department of Education. And that is our framework for developing the local plan for the gifted, which is our 5-year plan. And there are specific required components, which our local plan for the gifted must have, such as our philosophy and definition of giftedness, our program goals and objectives, our program model, and our delivery of services for our students, as well as our curriculum model. Our screening, our referral processes, our gifted identification model, which tests we use, and our notification procedures for our parents. Our professional development model and how we're going to train our teachers, as well as our equitable representation of our students, and how we work with our parents and our community. Our current mission and vision of the Gifted Services program is to foster our academic and intellectual growth of our students through our K-12 academic program. And how we do this is by understanding that our gifted students need a different social, emotional, and academic needs different than other students. And we do provide a differentiated program for those students to make sure that we are meeting their academic and social emotional needs. So when I last met with you, I shared with you different characteristics that you would see of students in a gifted program in the classroom. And some of those characteristics included students that learned very quickly without lots of repetition. They were out-of-the-box thinkers, and they had problem-solving and reasoning skills. But I want to take you on a journey of some of the characteristics that we're seeing of students that we are not currently serving in our academic program, or as you will hear me say, our General Intellectual Academic Aptitude, or GIA program. And those are our visual and performing arts students. And those are students who explore the program through dance, or music, or visual and performing arts, or theater. And those are students who are going to be the ones who express their emotions through visual and performing arts. And those are the ones who are going to be able to have that vivid imagination. Or we are seeing students who are exploring career and technical aptitudes through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. These are the students who like to take things apart and put things back together, and they may have pieces missing. But they are also the ones who have that technical curiosity, and they want to explore different careers. And these are our visual and spatial learners. But these are the students that are going to drive our 2019 to 2024 local plan for the gifted, because we are realizing that we need to expand our program. And this is how our methodology existed. We started back in 2017 in September by taking our technical review of our current plan, local plan for the gifted. And this was given to us by Dr. Donna Poland, who is the State Director of Gifted Education. And we took that and met with different stakeholders. And these stakeholders were teachers, they were administrators, they were our central office staff and principals. And we shared them with different stakeholder groups. And we talked about what was working in our current plan, what were things that needed to change, from our referral procedures to our program models, and were we really meeting the needs of our current students, or did we need to change? And then we started gathering that information. This was formal, this was informal. We talked to students, and we tried to think, what do we need to work on? So we set goals. And then we identified those current gaps, and everything that we kept coming back to were, we needed to work on meeting the needs of those visual and performing arts students, as well as those career and technical students. So, we are educators at heart. So we started a document review. We started researching. We put our education skills to work. We read through local plans for the gifted across the state of Virginia. We started doing research on what is going to be the best for those students. How can we work to meet the needs of those students, to make the programs here in Newport News the best for them? And then the local plan for the gifted committee started writing our local plan. And it went through many drafts. And we share those with our various stakeholder groups, including the TAG Advisory Board, teachers, principals, administrators, central office administrators, so that we could get feedback. And through every revision, we took that because we wanted it to be a group effort. And then in December of 2018, we held 3 local plan for the review sessions. We even had students to share some of their feedback on it. And we took that and we put it in there because we wanted it to work for the students. So before you see the current plan. As I want to remind you, currently we have an academic plan only. A general intellectual academic, GIA, which I will keep referring to. And right now we have our primary gifted program, which is for our kindergarten, first and second grade students. And that is a K-2 pullout at all elementary schools. We work on our creativity, our problem solving skills, our literature, as well as our thinking skills and STEM strategies. Then we have our full-time elementary gifted sites, currently at 16 sites, and that is for our grades 3 through 5. That's a full-time program. There we use advanced coursework, and we use curriculum components such as junior grade books, hands-on equations, Renzulli online differentiation, and our world language program. Those students then transition into our middle school full-time gifted program, which is available at 5 sites: Dozier Middle School, Hines Middle School, and Achievable Dream Middle School, Gildersleeve Middle School, and Huntington at Heritage High School. They work with advanced coursework in all core content areas: math, science, English, and social studies. And then our students then transition into the high schools with honors courses, 28 available advanced placement courses, international baccalaureate, as well as the Governor's School for Science and Technology, where they can take 3 different strands: engineering, computational science, and biological science. Now, I would like to share with you the program model that the committee came up with. We're still going to have the general intellectual academic program, but you will see in purple the 2 new programs that the committee has developed. The Visual and Performing Arts program, or VPA, as you will see it referred to, which is for grades 3 through 5, a pull-out program, which will focus on visual arts as well as theater. And the focus will be on artistic products, skill development, performance skills, visual and performing arts for the students. And then a career and technical aptitude program, which will focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, as well as career and technical skills, higher level products and problem solving. And that will be a grade 3 through 5 pullout. Both the visual and performing arts as well as the career and technical programs will have an implementation timeline of the 2020 to 2021 academic year. This does provide us an opportunity for a year's worth of planning and training of not only the staff, but also the opportunity to train the school division personnel, because this is a complete training of referral process and identification of new learners. We've been training all of the elementary staff on academic programs. Now we have to train them on referral processes for visual and performing arts as well as career and technical students. So, as the committee realized, this also required a revision to the gifted referral and testing processes. So you will see in purple the changes to our testing processes. As I shared with you before, anyone can refer a student for testing. Parent, teacher, school counselor, even a student can refer themselves for testing. Then the parent permission to test form will be sent home, as well as the parent evaluation. Because we will now have 3 different programs for gifted, the parent evaluation will be specific for each individual program. For the academic program, for the visual and performing arts, and then for the career and technical, because it will be tailored for that specific program. Then the teacher evaluation will be sent. There again, it will be tailored for each individual program. We will conduct classroom observations, gather the academic process for the students, and the performance task. Then the students will be tested. Only will the academic students and the career and technical students be tested using an aptitude test. The aptitude test that we will administer, they can range from the Naglieri nonverbal ability test, which we currently use, as well as the Otis Lennon school ability test. And we are discussing bringing on the cognitive ability test, as well as the Kaufman Brief Intelligence Test. All of these measure general reasoning ability using picture puzzles and analogies. All of these are aptitude tests. And then something new we will be using will be a portfolio of work. And this will be for the career and technical aptitude as well as the visual and performing arts. What this will look like for our CTA as well as our visual and performing arts students, imagine a STEM project. It could be a picture of it, it could be the actual project. For our visual and performing arts, that could be a drawing, or it could be for the audition, a monologue for theater, or it could be an improvisation. And then for the gifted screening committee, they will work together to determine the eligibility. We're going to partner with the STEM department as well as the career and technical education department, and then the visual and performing arts department on the screening eligibility, and then the results will be sent to the parents. The committee also determined goals, which will be used for the local plan for the gifted, and these goals are taken from the specific parts of the local plan for the gifted. First is centered around the identification of gifted students, K-12. We want to increase the number of students who are referred for the gifted program as well as identified. And the first thing that we have to do is to market our 3 programs and making sure that parents as well as students and teachers are aware of the new programs. And then we need to make sure that the students are being referred and then screened and that they are qualifying. All of that is tied into the equitable representation of students. I shared with you at the last meeting that Newport News Public Schools is leading the way in equitable representation of students. We have 55% minority, 45% non-minority students in the general intellectual academic program. And so we want to make sure that we can carry that over to our visual and performing arts as well as to our career and technical aptitude. And then we also want to make sure that that carries over to our delivery of services. Provide continuous and sequential services, which is tied directly to our curriculum and instruction. Provide that differentiated instruction and services. And we will be collaborating with our career and technical departments as well as our visual and performing arts departments to write a quality curriculum for our 2 new programs. And finally, it all ties down to our professional development. We are well aware that we need to make sure that we have teachers who are trained in gifted education and the competencies set forth by the Virginia Department of Education. We do that through our University of Employee Development. We will continue to partner with Human Resources to provide cohort classes. As long as the money is available through that, we will continue to do that. We are already having conversations. We are in the second part of our cohort classes with that, and we are also continuing to encourage them to take online courses through universities. And then we are making sure that as we're bringing on the 2 new programs, just to make sure that they understand the professional development sessions are necessary so that they understand that. And finally, the parent and community involvement. Utilize different events, open houses, and ongoing communication to publicize the programs. Our next steps include making sure that we continue to get feedback on the plan. It was posted this evening right before this meeting, as well as a recommendation form where different stakeholders can provide feedback on the plan. It's on the Gifted Services website. Plan for staffing and professional development, and then continue with our implementation plan for the visual and performing arts as well as the career and technical program, and then develop our curriculum for the 2 new programs. I am more than happy to take any questions that you have at this time.
Well, yes, Ms. Jones.
Amazing presentation. I just have, it's like a mix of question and comments. So as actually, since middle school, when I first found out about it was STEAM, I really loved it because I'm an arts person, but my family's math people. So, and I love the I know they like don't know what to do with me. They're like, this isn't science. What do you mean you want to? But I love the proposal of the visual performing arts and CT and the CTA program.
Yes.
But what about possibly finding a way to integrate them to get that STEAM thing? Or another thing that I've also noticed is with tag students, because I've been a tag student in Florida, we call it GPS since elementary school,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to high school where we get to where that it's not separated anymore, and then you get that separation. Oh, well, I was in tag. Well, I wasn't in tag. Like, oh, well, you weren't in tag. So how do we maybe propose bringing that integration into that way, maybe address the social needs? Because one thing you said was social, emotional, and academic well-being of tag students.
Well, the good point is that we have all of us at the table as part of that implementation plan. So I can tell you that the visual and performing arts supervisor is making sure that we are getting the A part of the arts in with the STEAM. So that is one thing that we are having those conversations about, is to make sure that we also bring the arts in as well with the career and technical aptitude. So we're making sure that we are infusing that arts part in with the curriculum as well.
Ms. Simons.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I know that the parents in our community are going to be very interested in this, and I wanted to ask if maybe the board could be invited to some of the open houses, and if you would
Absolutely.
use us as
Absolutely.
communicators to make sure we let parents know
Yes,
about these really neat opportunities. And you know, I know there are kids out there building amazing things in their backyard and doing amazing schematics and things that parents maybe should start to collect, you know, and encourage their kids to create their own portfolios.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, a really comprehensive plan, looking at the review and the plan, really like that there's a lot of different ways that we're capturing gifted learners and acknowledging that there's multiple forms of intelligence. So on that note, I'm very, very encouraged. Speaking as a parent who, and just thinking, putting myself in a parent's shoes of what they're, if they think their child is gifted and wanting to be in the program, what I would like to see or would like to know is, in terms of these scoring, so I see the criteria that the committee is going to use, but I would really think I need to see an example of what a parent would receive as an assessment of their child in order to become comfortable with the level of transparency that's in the plan. So I know that we have the plan here, but as a parent, wanting to know, where did my child rank?
Okay.
Why has my child not been admitted to the program? What do I need to work on with my child if I want my child to be in the program? Because these are all the things that parents are going to be consternating and really thinking about. And I think my child is gifted. And so I just want to make sure that that level of transparency is there, because we're talking about, we do have in here talking about the criteria of how we're going to the child's going to be assessed in comparison with their peers. So if it's a grading on a curve, does that mean my child doesn't get in this year, but maybe they get in next year? All of those kinds of things are what's going through my mind, and then just making sure the objectivity of the plan. So I realize it's a plan and that we can't necessarily put a lot of specific numbers or cutoff points in here, but that's the other thing that concerns me in terms of transparency of how we would assess children. Is I need to see what the cutoff point is. So if I'm a 3 out of 5 in one and I don't make the cut versus a 2 out of 5 in the other, that's the kind of things that I need to understand.
Certainly, I can get that information to you.
Anyone else? Ms. Sarah Laws.
I think one of the things that I'm hearing that I'm hoping you have the pulse on, it sounds like you do, will be for the students whose parents aren't advocates for them. The ones who can't identify the fact that, hey, I really probably should request that my child is tested. And, we all know that there is a disparity in who those parents end up being. So I'm looking for that in your plan to help us address that piece, because you did identify that it's present. How are we going to be able to answer that?
And I definitely think that's one thing that we've been working on as part of our equity initiative, is making sure that we're going out, and that's part of our professional development training, and making sure that we are doing that through our observations, through our creativity lessons, going out to all of the schools to do that. And even if they are not being referred by, say, their parents or by their teachers, that even by our gifted services staff going out, and that we can refer them ourselves. So even if they're not being referred by their parents or by their teachers, that we can do that as well.
That sounds promising.
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did I understand that every child takes an assessment test on the gifted level, or just the ones that are identified?
So for our general intellectual academic program, we currently do test district-wide second grade.
Okay. So at that test point, we can't, I guess, come up with whether they are gifted or not. We have to administer the other tests that you alluded to earlier.
Oh, we do for our academic program, for the GIA
Right.
program. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we use that as part of the screening process for the academic program.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, all right.
Anyone else?
One,
Dr. Best.
and I might have missed it. For the visual and performing arts and for the career and technical, I see it's 3 through 5 pullout.
Yes.
So everybody's tested
No,
division-wide.
that would be based on a referral process.
Okay, so that's after this.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you can be identified 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade.
Yes.
Which is a good segue to this question. Could you, I know we were going to talk about that in the presentation, but could you expand on how these new services would transition from elementary to middle to high?
Yes. And so what the plan is right now is to offer them going into the 2020-2021 year for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And then the goal is to then transition them into the middle school, and then from there transition them into the high school. And so it will be a transition plan where we're starting small, and then we're going into the middle school and then into
Right.
the high school.
But currently, our middle schools all have fine arts programs, so students will be able to, if they were a visual performing arts student, there may be certain sites that may have a more robust program for gifted students at the middle school level, and then obviously we have the program at Woodside High School, which is already there and in place for gifted students in the visual and performing arts. So it's a seamless transition, and in the same area with the career and technical aptitude, we already have programs at the middle school level at Gildersleeve and where we could expand our STEAM initiatives, even at a New Huntington Middle School, which we were looking at a STEAM curriculum there. And then they would transition to maybe the Governor's STEM Academy, which is already in place. So there is a seamless transition from these services to more rigorous programs at the secondary level, which we're trying to connect the dots there.
And we would be the only school division that I have been able to find in Virginia to have a career and technical aptitude gifted program at the elementary level.
Okay.
Mr. Harris, did you have another?
No, that was just acknowledgement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, one other question would just be, going forward, because we are implementing this new program, very interested to know I'm going to call it the attrition rate. So as children are identified in elementary school, and then there is some children who drop out of gifted program in middle school and high school, and then being able to compare that attrition rate against this new program. So is the attrition rate going to be lessened by this program, being able to see that going forward?
I agree.
I think that's something that as we move forward and we implement the two programs, that will be something to see. Because one of the things that we are finding is that some of our students will opt out to go to the magnets, and as we are moving this program into the middle school, and if we are moving it into offering a career and technical program, that may be something that we will see.
Right, that's not a problem.
Ms. Sarah Laws.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So I guess I'm thinking about moving this down the road. The students then are gifted, identified in middle school, but we put them at, say, a school like Woodside by lottery. How do we make sure that the investment in the students who are gifted are going to continue to get that area of education in their field, if you will?
And I think that all goes back to our professional development and our commitment to the professional development of our teachers and making sure that they understand the needs of our gifted learners and the training and the competencies. And making sure a quality curriculum.
Ms. Jones.
It actually bounces right off of Ms. Stowe's law question. So mainly because I'm thinking of the magnet with the visual and performing arts aptitude, because I believe, would that mean that in middle school, some of these students are then given possibly a preferred application or something, so that way they might be able to get a spot in the Woodside Magnet? Because while we are just a lottery, we also do, we were Blue Ribbon School last year. We are hold ourselves to a high standard of performance, and it would be amazing for both the Career and Technical Aptitude Magnet as well as the Performing Arts Magnet to then receive students who have been in that training. So would they receive some kind of possibly like preferred application or maybe a jump into those magnets that align with their field?
And that's certainly something that the implementation team is considering, or could consider.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As you can see, that Newport News is a school full of options and continue to grow. We'll move the agenda. So item number 5.03, attendance report, 5.04, the membership report, 5.05, construction report, were all part of your packages. If you don't have any questions on that, we'll move on to item 5.06, comments by the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good evening, everyone. I do have some prepared remarks, and I will keep them brief if I can find them here in my notes here. I would first like to say that to the board, I think you missed a real treat. We've been fortunate to have several groups of students perform here at Central Office the past few days. Today was Heritage High School's chorus and part of their winter concert team. They came over today and they played some holiday music for us. And yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, what we had a school come earlier this week was Menchville, and they did a wonderful job. So we've been treated very well down here at Central Office with all of the holiday music and all the performances. I think it's hard to get folks working this week because of all the concerts going on. But we are very appreciative to the schools that have sent their students down here to one, showcase their talent, sharing this in the spirit of the season, and we're really appreciative of that. So thank you so much for that. And as we move into the holidays, I just wanted to make a note that I really want to appreciate our schools for keeping their academic agendas going well, making sure that our students are focused on academics. And my school visits have gone very well. I visited quite a few schools the past month to make my rounds to elementary, middle, and high schools. Visited Woodside, and I was greeted by some of our student representatives there, met me at the door. But I was very appreciative of the amount of work that's still taking place. The teachers are really focused on instruction. Students are really getting ready for the exams and everything else that's taking place around the school division. So great jobs there. Earlier today, the entire senior class at Achievable Dream High School received Chromebooks from Cox Communications. I don't know if everyone's aware of that, but for them to provide Chromebooks to the entire senior class at Achievable Dream was very noteworthy, and that was really appreciated. The students can use those Chromebooks now for their schoolwork, and they can put them to good use as they transition to college next year. So we'd like to thank Cox Communications for that. I also have some other good news to share. We have been awarded a $15,000 grant from the Chesapeake Bay Restoration Fund to provide field trips to the Virginia Living Museum for all 7th grade students. So that's a grant that we recently were awarded. As you're aware, the Virginia Living Museum is not only a great resource, they are one of our best partners. I'm sure our young scientists will enjoy their experiences at the museum. Special thanks to Secondary Science Supervisor Dr. Rodney Culverhouse and grant writer Elizabeth Jackson, who once again came through with some more money for the school division, and we definitely appreciate her efforts. We were also awarded a $4,000 grant from the Chesapeake Bay Trust to investigate and monitor the water quality of the James River. Our AP Environmental and AP Biology students at all of our high schools will be able to do that relevant work moving forward. So that was a $4,000 grant that was awarded also. And Janelle Spitz, principal at Passage Middle School, has been named State Administrator of the Year by the Virginia Association of School Librarians. So let's give Janelle a round of applause as well. Ms. Spitz has positioned Passage Middle School's library as an integral component of the school's literacy program, which champions inquiry, reading, advocacy, and literacy through maker spaces and school-wide reading programs. And I was fortunate enough to visit her as one of my school visits recently. Ms. Spitz will be recognized at our school board meeting in January, so we look forward to celebrating her here. In the spirit of the season, I'd like to thank our students and staff who are spreading cheer. Many members of our Newport News family are collecting and distributing food, toys, and clothing to assist local families. You see many of collection boxes around some of our schools around the division. That's part of our service learning efforts. And we'd like to thank all the families and the students and our staff for supporting those holiday initiatives. And finally, the winter holiday begins at the end of the day tomorrow, Wednesday, December 19th. Schools and offices will reopen on January 2nd, and I wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. At this time, we give the opportunity again for the audience to address the board. Do we have any cards? There being none, we'll move on to item number 7, matters by the school board, and we have Ms. Jones.
Yes, well, don't know where to start. Okay, so I'll start with the first one. I got really, really awesome news for me. So I was accepted, well, it's awesome anyway. I was accepted into Howard University. I found out last night.
All right.
I was really excited. They're number 2 out of my top 3 on my list. So like, woo, exciting. The second one, so Holiday Arts Happening. It's an annual concert that we do at Woodside, and I would like to extend the invitation to everybody. It has been postponed to January the 7th. It was supposed to be tonight. It'll be January the 7th at 7 p.m., I believe. Tickets are $5 for everybody, $3 for middle school students and younger. So it's a time where we pull together every component of our magnet, and we all work together to deliver this amazing, what's supposed to be Christmas show, but it's a holiday show. It's really festive. So definitely come out and see that. We recently, as you guys also may know, had Secretary of Education of Virginia, Secretary Carney, come visit us at Woodside, and that was really delightful. Had opportunity to speak with him and showcase just the best of what we had to offer, but NNPS had to offer as a whole with student leadership and admin team. So that was great. Want to wish everybody a happy holiday, safe travels if you're traveling, and well, I guess I'll see you in the new year. So,
thank you, Dr. Bess.
Okay, I too would like to kind of piggyback on what Dr. Parker said. I have enjoyed going to the schools. The holiday concerts have been quite enjoyable. Just tired running all around, and I had the Christmas concert, the holiday concert for Woodside on my calendar for today, but in my mind it was on Thursday. So when I found out it was rescheduled, I was just so happy because I was like, oh, I can rest on Thursday. Then I was like, you are so tired. It was today. So if I'm tired, I know you all are extremely exhausted because we know how the last few days of school are. So I just encourage you to get rest, enjoy the time with your family, get a little bit of peace and quiet, enjoy your holidays, stay safe, and have a happy new year as well.
Thank you, Dr. Bass. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Parker and staff, those have been some great briefings from the time at 1700 today when we went in. So I just want to commend the staff for some of the quality briefings that we've been receiving. A couple of things to keep coming up: professional development, and I'm a firm believer in you have to train the trainers. You have to train the individuals where the rubber meets the road. Our school teachers, counselors, and things of that nature. I know CT has been a big thing. It's one of the things I'm going to continue to advocate for. I know there's laws that's changing or has changed. I'm sure we will be getting a policy update on that, on how we're going to implement that. I think you discussed that earlier. Veterans Day, to be honest with you, I didn't know that the school was working. Okay, is that, well, obviously not a state policy or federal policy, but that's something that we just decided not to do, or because I know the kids have to be educated, so.
It's a little complicated.
Okay, got you. All right, it's complicated. All
Have
right.
that conversation.
No problem. All right, it's complicated. But appreciate that, and I really thank y'all for all the support and the efforts that you've been giving to the school division. I know it's tough work, it's hard work, okay, but I just want to thank all the staff, administrators, and everyone that makes this school division work. Also, I would like to say thank you to the City Council. We put in a notice for hopefully we get a great present. We're still asking for funds to help us fund this historical school, and a school that's needed in this city. It's not just needed; it's a requirement. So which makes it an obligation, and that some of us would like to see a one-to-end list of all the projects that we have to compete against. But I dare say, I would, as a school division, I would not like to compete against public-private projects because we are a public entity. So I think if we are competing against projects, I just ask the City Council that we're competing against other public projects. So I wish them a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, and I wish you all the same. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mrs. Simons.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention how wonderful it was to attend the big announcement of our program with Christopher Newport University, and how much I appreciate the partnership and the leadership of the Board of Visitors at CNU. They really want to make sure that our local students have opportunities with our local university, CNU, and I just think it's a really wonderful opportunity. It will involve early admission for our low-income students. And so definitely, if you're a parent out there, have that on your radar. And finally, I just want to wish everyone a really happy holiday. And I'm hoping that all the parents and grandparents out there will be able to snuggle with a book over the holiday season with their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simons. Mr. Ely.
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations to all the students that competed in the first Tech Challenge robotic competition at Heritage High School. That was amazing. Me and Chairman Hunter got to attend it, and just to see the magnitude of the robots that our kids are creating, I was like, man, I wish I was in school during this time period, because they're creating robots definitely for the future, and it's happening right here in Newport News Public School System. I also would like to thank the hundreds of people that came out over the weekend to Doris Miller Community Center. It was over to give Christmas toys to over 300 children, so that was an amazing event, as well as take pictures with Santa Claus. And I just would like to thank the staff and commend y'all for the great presentations that y'all are doing, and just have a happy holiday and enjoy time with your family during this vacation that y'all going to have. Thank you.
Mr. Ely, thank you. Ms. Earls Laws.
Well, I want to commend Dr. Parker in what he's been able to accomplish in the time that he's here. And I'm really, really excited about the Community Captains Program with Christopher Newport University. That's a big undertaking, fresh out of the box. It's something we've needed for a very long time. It's been something I think that both Newport News Public Schools has wanted, as well as Christopher Newport. So very much kudos to you and the orchestrator, Dr. Dave Dowdy over at CNU and his team. And I can't go without thanking Tracy Brooks for her team, the Policy and Procedure Committee, for their dedication and expertise to understanding the legislation that faces us and applying it here to Newport News for our families, our students, and our employees. And mentioning all of that, I hope everyone has a joyful holiday season. Be kind to one another, enjoy the time, and get ready for 2019.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays as we close out this year. We had an opportunity to go to the Virginia School Board Association annual conference That was a great conference that was put on. Learned a lot of good things about school governance, and looking forward to this next month going up again to the legislative conference in January and working on advocating on behalf of our schools. I do want to congratulate Superintendent on our first State of the Schools address. I'm going to call it the first State of the Schools address in that format, and I think it was a really successful format. When I envisioned the idea of a State of the Schools several years ago, that was a different vision, a different format in the venue where we had it at, and I think it pulled off really nicely. So really appreciate all the hard work to all the staff that contributed to that, and to everyone in the community who came out. Appreciate your support of that event, and we plan to make that, at least I plan to make that a tradition that we do every year. So that was very encouraging to see. One other thing I want to talk about before we close out, I feel like I feel compelled. I always have to be the one to do these things, but I feel that if I don't mention these topics, then I'm not doing my job. When we talk about we're having our CIP meetings, the capital improvement plan meetings. We've placed Huntington Middle School in the first year of the CIP, which was discussed, I think particularly during campaigns, as a requirement, and that if it was placed in the first year, then it would be funded. At least that was the way I read several folks who were campaigning at the time, and then we're still at a point of some levels of misunderstanding, and that it is in the first year, but there isn't at this point in time some assurances that it's going to be voted on and funded. That is somewhat disturbing. Then the part that is well, when you look at it's a nearly $1 billion budget, asking for $15 million for a school for 600 children and their families, that it would appear to be a bridge too far. That does not sit well with me. And then so I'm going to mention these things now, and so I don't want anyone to be surprised. I'll mention them again when we have our next joint meeting. That we had our joint meeting on November the 20th. Now, November 19th, I want to point out that I think there was a mistake by the Daily Press in their article that they printed on November 19th, 2018, because they said the City Council provided Newport News Public Schools $2.8 million that has gone towards planning and design of a new Huntington. That is not true. As I understand it, the money was voted on in the budget, but it has not been appropriated to the schools. We have not received a dime of that $2.8 million. Not a dime. So $2.8 million was approved in the budget, in the capital improvement budget last year, but has not been appropriated to the schools. A feasibility study that demonstrated that there are 600 children affected, at least 600 children, potentially 800, as many as 800 children in the Huntington zone are affected by not having a school. That is a feasibility study that was paid for out of our operating budget. And then in addition to that, a concept design that was provided to get us to a rough order of magnitude. And so I would say that some of the misunderstanding about $50 million and let's get a finer number or more detail behind the $50 million, I think that could be accomplished if we had the $2.8 million to do the design. So if we had the actual money to do the design and implement that design, then we'd have a finer number to provide, and there wouldn't be these questions. So when we talk about relationships, part of relationships is in having a relationship where both bodies are leading the city, and you need to have a reliable partner. So if you vote on funding something, then it shouldn't be over a year later that the money is still not appropriated for something that you voted on. So November 20th, we had our joint meeting. At that joint meeting, it was discussed that, one, it was too expensive. $50 million is too much money for a school. $50 million would be all the money they had in the budget for the year. That was said during the meeting. We had heard some other things about, in addition to it being expensive, but then adding on more requirements to make it more expensive. You should ingest the community center that's next to it and do other things that make it more expensive. But then on November 27th, 2018, Ordinance 7516-18 was passed. Ordinance authorizing the city to contract a debt and issue general obligation, general improvement bonds of the city in the principal amount of $38 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay for the cost of a public improvement project and for the city consisting of public parking facilities and related roadway and infrastructure improvements. So November 20th, we were told that no money was available. November 27th, $38 million was, I guess, appropriated. So I'm going to ask, is that the $38 million that was supposed to be for the school? And then just as well, in terms of reliable partner, is there's a budget process, have a full budget and a full plan. I would just ask, just like we do, when we have a budget, we pass it, we come up with stuff that's in the plan, we execute the plan. It appears that stuff is being done piecemeal. So I don't know what to, when citizens approach me about Huntington and ask me, I'm not sure what to tell them, because we have things being funded out of cycle. We have stuff being voted on that's not part of any particular budget that was, that I'm really aware of. So it becomes a process that is very confusing, I think to both us and to the citizens as well. So sorry, Chair, I couldn't be remiss if I didn't bring that up. But it appears that, look, if you can get $38 million out of cycle for a parking garage, go get $50 million for a school. But those are my comments, and so Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. As I always stated, there's great things happening in Newport News Public Schools. Before I get started, I'm going to kind of ditto Mr. Brown on that as well. No need for me to repeat that, but I know in the school system our size, I'm not sure if I've ever seen a 7 to 12 year, 7th grade to 12th grade high school or whatever that case may be. So I know that was never the case for us to have a 7th to 12th grade middle high school. I'm not sure if I've seen one here locally or in Virginia for a school system our size. So we do need a new Huntington. So that being said, I do again ditto Mr. Ely stated that the first Tech Challenge robotic competition was phenomenal. I would like to thank Ms. Callwood, program administrator there at Heritage High School, and also of our Governor STEM Academy for hosting this wonderful, wonderful event. We've had, I believe we had maybe 4 schools here in Newport News compete with other schools here at Newport News and in Virginia. It was just a phenomenal time. I'm giving a special thanks to my board member, John Laley, who kind of came and rescued me, along with Miss Gerald and Miss Callwood. Somehow I got lightheaded, and I felt like I was going to pass out, but thank you, John, for coming to. And then Miss Gerald would not let me go home at all for over an hour or so. But anyway, I want to thank you that we care about, they even care about our school board members, so I want to thank you for that particular deal. Again, thanks to the Newport News Public Schools for allowing us to go up to the VSBA. It was a wonderful conference. I had the opportunity to be a panelist on one of the breakout sessions. I thought we've got a lot of great information there, and again, we're always being educated ourselves. A special thanks to John Shefflet. He is the chair or president of the Newport News Education Foundation, and I had the pleasure of being the board. Dr. Parker and a few individuals in the audience, Mr. Pat Finneran, Miss Emily, Miss Elizabeth Jackson. They attended. What a wonderful, wonderful retreat to talk about business folks who are here and that are engaged and who are concerned about the well-being of the students and the facilities where we teach our students. And so we spoke of the Huntington was part of the topic there, the CTE, the more collaboration with not folks to come to a career day typically look like how we're dressed with shirts and ties on, but those individuals that we talked about earlier that are the plumbers and electricians and the machinists out there. You know, we need to invite those individuals to our career days. And then we can look at what a plumber makes and compare them to, say, a school teacher. At least here, you know, here in Newport News, here in Virginia, where we're ranked number 39 or so out of 50 in pay, as well as that we're number 10th richest state, though. And then our education is near the top. And so we're doing a whole lot with a little bit of money. But just think about that next year, that when we're talking about our teachers out there that are listening, when we do have those career days, and your managers that are listening, please let that coworker who you may be his supervisor, let he or she come out to a career day. And this is how we then connect these CTEs, classes directly to what these jobs are paying. So it's just kind of my little push there. That being said, I'm not going to say any more longer. Just want to say everyone have a wonderful, beautiful, happy holiday, and we look forward to a joyous and prosperous 2019. There being no other business done, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
So, I have a friend.
Got to hit the gavel. I got the gavel. I couldn't find it.
You don't use your gavel.
I'm a substitute teacher, and I'm